Have you ever tried to argue someone out of a conspiracy theory? I mean, really tried? It can feel like you're just talking to a brick wall, right? But what if the key to changing minds isn't who is doing the talking, but what they're actually saying? Well, some researchers at Cornell and MIT have some pretty surprising answers that might just flip how we think about debunking misinformation.
Yeah, for a long time, the common wisdom has basically been that you just can't reason with these kinds of deeply held beliefs. The idea is that once someone's convinced, no matter amount of facts, no matter amount of evidence, is ever going to pull them out.
But what if that whole assumption is just wrong? What if these beliefs are actually way more open to change than we've ever given them credit for? That's the exact question that kicked off this entire investigation.
Now, make no mistake, this is a genuinely tough problem. These beliefs are sticky, They often feel some kind of deep psychological need. And on top of that, they're self-reinforcing. Any evidence you show against the conspiracy, well, that just gets twisted into more proof of a massive cover-up.
And yet, in the face of all that, recent work has shown something pretty remarkable. It turns out when people have these personalized, one-on-one conversations with an AI that's just designed to calmly present the facts, their belief in those conspiracy theories, it actually goes down.
So, this amazing result brings up a really crucial question. Why? Why is the AI succeeding where so many of us humans have failed? Is there something special about the AI itself that makes it so persuasive, or is it just better at the pure mental gymnastics of making an argument? And that brings us right to the heart of the mystery this study wanted to solve. Is the magic coming from the messenger, the fact that it's this impartial, non-human AI, or is it simply about the message, the quality of the well-reasoned, fact-based argument it's presenting?
So the researchers laid out two competing ideas, and honestly, there are some pretty good arguments on both sides of this.
Let's break down the debate here. On the one hand, you've got the case for the AI being the perfect messenger. It's seen as impartial, right? No human agenda, which could help it sidestep all our usual partisan triggers. Plus, admitting you might be wrong to a machine, that probably feels a lot less embarrassing than admitting it to a person. But then on the other hand, you have the case for humans. A human expert could feel more relatable, and for really sensitive topics, we might just prefer hearing from another person.
So, with these compelling arguments for both sides, the team from Cornell and MIT knew they had to actually put it to the test, and they came up with a really clever experimental design to do it.
Okay, let's take a look at how they actually structured the experiment to figure out what was really going on. The setup was just beautiful in its simplicity. So first, they got nearly 1,000 people who genuinely held a conspiracy belief or some other unfounded belief. Then, everyone had a 2-round chat with an AI, GPT-4o, which was prompted to gently debunk their specific belief using facts. Now here's the genius part. Half of the participants were told they were chatting with an AI tool. The other half, they were told it was a human expert. The conversation was exactly the same, only the label was different. Now, to measure if any of this worked, participants rated how strongly they held their belief on a scale from 0 to 100, both before and after the chat. So the big question was, would that little label, AI or human expert, change how much that number dropped? So after running the whole experiment, the researchers crunched the numbers to see which was more persuasive, the AI or the so-called human expert. And the outcome was, well, it was stunning. Just look at this chart. On average, both groups saw their belief drop by about 10 points on that 100-point scale. There was basically no difference at all between the people who thought they were talking to an AI and those who thought they were talking to a human. The single most important point is that the label, who they thought they were talking to, it just didn't matter. The effect was the same. And look, this wasn't some tiny, insignificant effect. For the people who held a specific conspiracy belief, their confidence dropped by an average of almost 12%. That is a huge shift for a belief system that's supposed to be completely unshakable. So the takeaway was crystal clear. The power of this whole AI intervention didn't have anything to do with its identity as a messenger. It worked because it was able to generate a really compelling, fact-based message. So, what does this all mean? Well, the implications here are actually pretty profound, and they point to the real superpower of AI in these kinds of conversations. It all comes down to this idea of cognitive labor. Just think for a second about what it takes to debunk a complex conspiracy theory on the spot. You have to recall specific facts, assemble them into a coherent argument, and then present them calmly and personally all in real time. Most of us, we just can't do that, but an AI can. Its power isn't its identity, it's its incredible, almost unbelievable ability to perform this huge amount of cognitive labor instantly.
So, what are the big takeaways from all this? Well, first, and this is the most important part, a good argument is a good argument. It's persuasive on its own. It really is about the message, not the messenger. Second, the AI's true superpower is its unique ability to do all that heavy cognitive lifting, to generate these high-quality, personalized arguments whenever we need them. And finally, and this is the really hopeful part, it shows that even these really entrenched beliefs aren't a lost cause. They can be changed with the right kind of targeted, evidence-based communication.
This whole thing leaves us with a fascinating final question. If we now know that it's the quality of the argument that truly matters for persuasion, then who or what is going to be responsible for crafting the most effective arguments of our future? It's definitely something to think about.